want you to picture this. A legendary NBA player who's had an amazing career is about to play their final career game. They're about to step off the court, career over. But instead of fading into the background like most people end up doing, they evolve into something else, an entrepreneur, a media mogul, a philanthropist. How do they do this? How do some people easily transition from one version of themselves into another, while others are stuck in the past glory of what was? So here's the thing. The secret isn't in the burning, it's in the building. Today, we're going to unpack the art of reinvention without demolition. Whether you're 25 or you're 65, whether you're switching careers or you're just switching mindsets, today we're going to explore how you can lean into that new future while honoring your past. Because here's what I've learned from from numerous successful reinventions. The people who thrive aren't the ones who burn down everything from their past. The ones who thrive are the ones who use their past as fuel for the future. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Men Rose Podcast. I am your host, Oba Okusanya, and I'm glad to have you here. Yeah. So let's get into today's topic. The idea of reinvention is something that a lot of people don't talk about, and there's numerous reasons for this. Especially when it comes to, I guess, everyday people like you and I. There's a lot of just, I guess, assumptions that the way things are is the way things are going to continue to be, and you know, you don't really get to reinvent yourself. You kind of stay in the same career, or maybe you switch careers a couple of times. That's it's typically a straightforward kind of path for most people. But one thing that I've realized is that if you are going to build a life that's fulfilling, your path occasionally might change. The the route might change. The direction might change. And it's not to say that your invention is, like I said, erasing your past. No, it's a redirection into a new future, but you still bring elements of your past into it. So we're going to get into how to do all of that. But as a personal example, I went to school and I studied civil engineering in university, and it was okay. I mean, it was okay. My parents are probably watching this, so they invested a lot of thousands of dollars because I was an international student in Canada. So yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, I tease. But studying civil engineering in university and realizing, like, almost when I was done, that this isn't necessarily something I want to do with the rest of my life, it was a little bit difficult because how do I now reinvent myself? Before I graduated school, people are already calling me engineer. There's already there's already this ego attached to the title of engineer. So how do I walk away from that and do something else? Especially when you're in a field that other people are like, I wish I was an engineer. I wish I could have gone into engineering. You know, it was a difficult time. And I remember having to sit down and really, like, think through what I was trying to do here, you know, because on one hand, I had the knowledge, I was just about to start getting the experience. But even before starting, I knew this isn't what I really want to do. It was a time where I was definitely afraid. I was definitely scared of the outcome, but it worked out. And God has a way of sort of redirecting your steps on your path in such a way that He gets you where you need to go to, but nothing's wasted. And that's the place I want to start from. You know, it's the fact that nothing is wasted. So, which brings me to my first point. Um, if you're going to successfully reinvent yourself, and if you're going to successfully put yourself through a period of change where you sort of change course, change direction, whatever that is to you, you have to start with your why. You have to start with the reason why you're even going to be doing this in any case. A couple of years ago, I read Simon Sinek's book. It's actually called Start With Why. And I could summarize that entire book in saying that he just wants you to, no matter what it is that you're going to do, no matter what it is you're going to start, no matter what journey it is you're going to embark on, to just, before you figure out the how and the what, to just start with the why. Because the why actually dictates how all of the rest of the other pieces are going to come together. And in difficult times, it's the why that keeps you going. So before you talk about, okay, I'm going to go into this new field and AI is booming right now. I'm just gonna switch into AI because that's what everyone's doing. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna move to a new city. I'm gonna do that. That's all great, and the reinvention is I'm all for it. But before you do all of that, can you sit down and just evaluate the why? Why are you doing this? Because the why also sort of reveals our motives. If your why is superficial in the sense that um, I want to, for example, if your why is superficial in the sense that you just want to do something because you want to be famous, that might not keep you going when things get difficult. Or it's that you just want, you want to grow your social following, if that's a thing. Like, your why has to be deeper than that. It has to be something that's well thought out. It has to be something that means like something deep to you, because like I said, that why is actually what keeps you going. And there's going to be times when you're going to be asking yourself, as you're going through whatever change that it is that you're going through, or process that it is that you're going through, or trying out whatever new thing it is that you're doing, you're going to be asking yourself, like Nigerians say, who sent you? Like, who sent me to come and do this? Funny enough, uh prior to recording this podcast, I had one of those moments like, who the heck told me to start a podcast? But I'm being honest with you. I'm being real with you. I had one of those moments because I'm like, I'm tired right now. There's so much going on. There's things picking up here and there. I'm tired. But at the same time, I started to just focus on the why and remember the why. And I'm like, oh, but why are you doing this? And I'm doing this because I want to play a part in your story in whatever way I can, to contribute, to be an inflection point, to be a voice that helps you figure out something small. That's why I'm doing this. Because as we all search for fulfillment in whatever aspect of life and whatever road that takes you to, sometimes you just need a little bit of encouragement here and there. And I want to be that encouragement to a lot of people, as other people have been to me. Right. So that's essentially why I'm doing this. And without trying to get too like spiritual and spooky, the fact that, God kind of laid this vision on my heart. That's why I'm doing this. So that being said, in a moment where you're tired and you're down, that's what keeps you going. It's the why. So before you figure out the how, before you figure out the what, and honestly, sometimes even before you figure out the who, because there might be something you need to do with other people, just take a step back and start with why. It'll save you a lot of headache, and it'll make whatever plans that you have more sustainable. So start with why. So you have a business idea you're excited about. But hold on, here's the truth. About 90% of startups fail because they build something nobody wants. What if you could test your idea before you build it? What if you could test your idea before you waste months or thousands of dollars building it? I've put together a free guide called the Reality Check Guide that essentially has 10 validation methods you can use to test any business idea today. In it, you'll find validation methods used by Tesla, Dropbox, Airbnb, and other notable names around the world before they became household names. I've also included AI prompts that you can use to validate or test your ideas using ChatGPT or any other AI platforms. So get access to the free guide. The link is in the description. Download the guide and use it to test your ideas before you go waste money and time. All right, let's get back to the pod. The second point I want to touch on briefly as well is, don't erase the past. A lot of people have, a lot of people, our cutoff game is strong. And when I mean cutoff game, I mean like the way you can just cut off the past, like it means nothing to you. Like, our generation especially, I feel like we're kind of experts at this, like, just keep it pushing. Hey, those people don't rate you, I'm gonna go somewhere else. And frankly, I used to be like that, to be honest with you. And it kind of used to bother me how easy it was for me to sort of detach from a place and just move on. Um, but the thing is, whether or not you detach entirely, you still have memories of that place. You still have memories of the time, that you spent there. So for instance, if you worked at an organization, let's say your first professional job, and you leave eventually, there's still things that you learn there. There's people that you met there that are still a part of your life. And you sort of take that with you and bringing that into context of you trying to become something else. Um, you can't erase the past. And I know like the past isn't always perfect. Hear me out. I know the past isn't always this picture perfect thing that you want to put out there again. So because we all have different lives, and for someone watching this or listening to this, you might want to improve your life significantly. Maybe you've come from a rough background, or you've just had a rough circumstance in terms of the way life has played out, and you're actively looking to get out of that. I acknowledge that, and I say to you, you can't erase that, because guess what? It's a part of your life. It's a part of who you are. Now, the good thing is we don't erase it. We can take the positive sides, we can take the lessons, we can take the failures and the wisdom that we get from them. We can take all of that into the new season, into the new direction, into whatever it is that we're doing. But we don't erase the past. You don't reinvent yourself by becoming somebody entirely brand new that all of a sudden has no past, that nobody knows of. Nobody's going to trust you. Because let's get it right here. The reason why people trust you is because they can route your sort of start point somewhere. Is because they can sort of figure out where you started from and points and in your story, which are mostly from your past, right? If you just come on the scene today and, for example, you just come on the scene today and all of a sudden you're a financial advisor and you're telling people how to invest, nobody's going to be trusting you like that because bro, what are you talking about? But if you come on the scene and then you let everybody know like, hey, this is how I think you should invest, and by the way, I've been investing for 20 years, all of a sudden people are like, oh, okay, I can listen, I can trust you because there's a past. So what I'm saying is, in this journey, uh don't erase your past. Like, don't. As cringe as it might be, as difficult as it might be to revisit some aspects of that past, don't erase it. Take what you need from that past, take what it is that could be valuable in the future, and move it to the next. Move it to the new thing that you're doing. Don't erase your past. It's not worth it. The third thing that I believe, you should also focus on if you're actively trying to reinvent yourself, go into something new, change directions, whatever it is, I want you to lean into the new. Lean fully into the new. And it's easier said than done. Actually, saying it sounds quite easy. Like, yeah, I could just lean into the new. But if you actually take a look at what I'm asking you to do, I'm essentially asking you to step off a cliff without knowing if there's something for you to fall on, without knowing if there's something for you to land on. Because that's essentially what happens when you decide, you know what, I'm going to take a leap of faith. There's a reason why it's called a leap. Because you don't know what's on the other side. You don't know what's on the other side of that change. You don't know what's on the other side of that career pivot. You don't know what's on the other side of moving to a new city. You don't know what's on the other side of reinventing yourself into something else. And that's a part of it. So what you know, there's a level of discomfort that comes with the new, and it's very counterintuitive. It's very unnatural to lean into discomfort. It's very unnatural to see something hard and to tell yourself, I'm going to pick the hard thing. I'm going to do the hard thing. That's why I'm encouraging you to lean into the new, because you won't always feel like doing the hard thing. You won't always feel like leaning into the discomfort. But guess what? On the other side of that discomfort is the new life, is the future, is the new change that you want to see. Very, 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 it's very rare that there's a change you want to make in your life and it's like a seamless transition. It might look seamless to others out there. For instance, when an athlete retires and all of a sudden they're now a pundit on your favorite sports show, it might look very seamless, like, oh yeah, he just retired and went straight into that. But you don't see the behind the scenes of that transition. You don't see the behind the scenes of what it took for them to get to a place where they're comfortable doing that new thing that you see. A personal example. When I started this podcast, the first couple of episodes, I was absolutely terrified. And it's not like this was my first time speaking in front of a camera or addressing people or talking or doing anything on media. It's just, it was different. And it is different. And it still feels different. We're episode 22 in or 21 in, and it still feels different. But what I'm saying is, you don't get to find out who you are, who you will become until you actually lean into that new thing that you're doing. And let me encourage you here, because some of you are wondering, maybe you started something new and you're not seeing the support that you've seen from other people in previous seasons. Let me encourage you here by saying keep going, because it doesn't always work out that way, that that people who've known you from a previous season support the new thing that you do. And this is why you have to be gracious. It's because they're also getting used to the person that you're becoming. They're also adjusting to the person that you're becoming. It's also very new for them. And of course, this is not an excuse to say people shouldn't support those that they care and love, those that they care for and those that they love. But you also have to be gracious in the sense that they're seeing you in a new light and it's uncomfortable, especially for people who don't like change. And the fact that you're audacious and courageous about your change, it can rub some people off the wrong way. And the response to that is to just back away from it. Right. So that's just a little bit of a aside for anyone who's launching something new, started a new business, you launched a podcast, you launched a newsletter, whatever it is, you did something different with your hair. Now all of a sudden people don't want to talk to you anymore. I'm just joking. But that's essentially what it is. Change scares people. And in order not to offend you, they just back away. But you have to be gracious in the sense that you have to be consistent in the change that you're delivering, in the change that you are becoming, whatever it is that you're doing. Eventually, they'll come back around. But the initial support that you're looking for, it might not always come. In some cases, you get it, but in some other cases, you don't. And guess what? It's part of the journey. It's part of the discovery of becoming somebody new, doing something new. You know, um, the other day I was watching, I forget who it was. It was a basketball player who had retired and he's now like sports reporter, whatever. And people were just bashing him in the comments like, oh, this guy's terrible at this, da da da. I miss when he used to play basketball. And in my head, I'm like, you're looking at somebody who's decided to move into something new, haven't spent most of like the last 30 years doing one thing, and they're embracing something new, and your response is to talk down on them. Your response is to berate them. Your response is to say, oh, this is terrible, why is he even doing this? No, it just shows me how limited a lot of people's mindsets are. And you have to understand this. Like I said, the fact that you're willing to embrace change is making them uncomfortable, and that's okay. You have to, this goes back to our number one point, you have to remember why you're doing what you're doing and keep it pushing, keep it going. Eventually they'll come along, eventually they'll tag along, and if they don't, who cares? It is what it is. As long as you know what you're doing, you have a plan, and you're leaning into the new. I also want to just take the time to also acknowledge and be human, to to sit in the fact that while you're looking to lean into the new, there might be a temptation to return to the past, to return to the old. Don't give into it. As you're leaning into the new, you will experience maybe some difficulties, some challenges here and there. And you're going to feel very tempted to just go back to what you've always known, go back to what you've always done. And that's not necessarily the answer. In that moment, it might feel like the answer, but I bet you, if you're really going to live a life that's impactful, if you're really going to live a life that you can be grateful for 10, 15 years, 30 years, 50 years down the road, you can't be somebody who cuddles the past. You can't be somebody who cuddles the feeling of the past, who's enamored by, what was. No, as you lean into the new, it, it will, I'm just being honest, it's going to be difficult to let go of the past, but you have to let go, you know. But I just wanted to add that because, as a quick aside, I guess. All right, let's get into the last thing, which it's not point four, it's just a bonus, One thing that I've really found, and it's the way God has sort of designed this life, is the fact that whatever you don't celebrate, you can't become. Whatever you don't honor, you can't become. Whatever you don't celebrate, you can't become. And what that looks like with regards to this is the fact that if you're going to reinvent yourself in some way, shape, or form, if you're going to do something else different than what you've ever done, if you're going to start something new, if you're going to launch something, if you're going to, whatever it is that you're going to do, I want you to celebrate others when you see them do that. Yeah. There's a principle in life, the law of sowing and reaping, in the sense that whatever you sow, you reap. What does that mean? It means whatever essentially you put out there is kind of what you get back. It's a life hack in the sense that if you really want to see, um, if you really want to get to a place where you're comfortable reinventing yourself, celebrate other people when you see them reinvent themselves. And I'm not talking about when you see a celebrity that you know who's been a singer all their lives all of a sudden start doing movies. I'm not talking about them because you don't have any real relationship with them. I'm talking about your friends, your family, people that you have a connection to. When they decide to do something new, celebrate them. When they decide to launch something, to try something else, celebrate them. Show your support. Because guess what? That's also sort of training your mind to be comfortable with the change, to be comfortable with the new. Celebrate other people when you see them doing something. Like it's you know, and also it's like this idea of being entitled, where you think, oh yeah, because I celebrated them, they will celebrate me too. No, 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 no. That's not why we're doing this. It's not out of a sense of entitlement, so that, oh, I'm supporting them now so that when I do mine, they'll support me. No, no, that's not why we're doing this. We're doing this expecting nothing in return. We're doing this expecting nothing in return from them. But we know that the way God has designed the world, and we know that the way God has set up the world and the universe and the earth and all that there is in it, which is His anyways, we know that whatever you sow, you will reap. It's just a matter of principle, right? You don't have to reap that support necessarily from them. It might come from other people. And you might not even reap that in the sense of support. It might come in something else. Who knows? But it'll come in such a way that it's what you need. So that's the bonus, I guess, point for today. It's I want you to celebrate the reinvention in others. The past can be difficult to let go of, but the future is worth it. The past can be, the past can be so sweet to hold on to. And the danger there is that if you keep holding on to it, as time goes, you don't realize that the version of who you're supposed to become, you delay that. And then that's what happens when people look down years later and they're like, wow, I can't believe I haven't made any progress these number of years because I've been holding on to this version of who I was in the past. And now here I am. And, like I still feel like I'm doing the same things, wearing the same clothes, talking the same way. I have a group of friends and we were talking the other day how there's some people we run into that we haven't seen in like years, and you run into them and they still dress the same way, they talk the same way, they look the same way. It's like, bruh, are you still stuck in the 2000s? But it just goes to show the fact that not everybody's willing to embrace change. Not everybody is willing to reinvent themselves. One of my favorite, absolutely favorite gospel artists um, is Israel Houghton, and he's been a gospel artist since I was a child. But some way, somehow, this guy has managed to just stay relevant. Like, he's just managed to stay relevant. And not everybody might be able to relate to this example, but it's just an example of somebody that comes to mind, when it comes to just being relevant. And the way to stay relevant is to continue to reinvent yourself as times go. to reinvent yourself as life happens, as the seasons go by, as the years go by. And for people who are much older, that reinvention sometimes looks like reaching out to the people who are younger than you and asking for help. You know, so when I say celebrate other people who are going through some sort of reinvention or doing something different or trying something new, that also for people who are older means not looking down on young people and their ideas and the things that they're trying. It also means embracing them. And it also means in some cases even trying what they're doing. Right. Because whether or not we like it, we're all going to get older. And before you know it, there's going to be younger people, and they're already younger people than you, anyways. But you're going to see that disparity as time goes on, even the more. So here's what I'm saying: don't fight the new, embrace it, look at how you can use it to do whatever it is that you're doing. So here's the truth I want to leave you with. Reinvention is one of the most courageous acts of self-love. Every time you choose growth over comfort, progress over stagnation, you're essentially honoring the person that you're supposed to become. And you're honoring the fullest expression of who that person is. So I want you to be patient in the discomfort, be bold with the choices, and remember, this isn't about becoming somebody else. This is about becoming more you. That's it. That's all I have for you today. I would love for you to subscribe to this channel if you already haven't subscribed. But if you got some value out of this message, out of this video, this podcast today, I'd also love for you to share it with a friend. Share it with somebody who comes to mind, somebody who you believe, who you know is sort of in a time where they're trying to branch out into something different, into something new. Send this to them as a way to encourage them and to let them know that you're thinking about them and that you're rooting for them. Well, also, let me know what you think about this whole idea of reinventing yourself. Do you even think it's possible? Do you think people should reinvent themselves? Do you think we should just stay stuck in whatever it is we're doing? Let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Till next time, God bless.